Okay, I guess, first of all, I'm not supposed to talk too long. I talk a little bit too long. If you know me, you know I do. Anyway, I just want to explain my hockey career, I guess, as to some of the people that were involved. First of all, it all started when I was 9 years old with my mom and dad coming to each one of our hockey games, no matter what. They were either at Mike's, mine, or Ken's or Larry's. And my mom especially always said to us, never give up. Just try your best and never give up. And my dad just, he was my dad. He always wanted you to do the best that you possibly could. And he would get me out shooting pucks after a game, no matter how I played or whatever, and showed me what I did wrong. Well, from there on, I started when I was 9 years old, and I was fortunate enough to have good people that were my coaches, starting with John Bucknell as my Pee Wee Canada car coach. Fantastic person. He was just great, and we practiced every Saturday morning, no matter what, and we learned a lot from him. My next situation, I was playing Bantam hockey, and at that time, Jack McCain, who used to work for Air Canada, and it was Canada Tire, and I was also playing with the Canadian juniors there, but he was not Canadian junior, Canadian Bantam. And then after that, I had Normie Bevilacqua, and he was with, I was with his team there with the Canadians in midget hockey. And then from then, I ended up going to Mickey Hennessy, who was a great coach, great person. Kind of scary for a little guy, to tell you the truth. Like we had Marguerites, we had a few tough boys on our team, and they minded their manners, let's put it this way, when he spoke. And then I ended up playing the next year or whatever after that, junior hockey there with Mo Irving, another great person. And then that's when we went to Esteban. I remember that train. That was a train ride. We all wore our fedoras and our white trench coats, I think, or whatever. And then after that, again, ran into a real great person, and Ab Kava. I think he's probably one of the best persons that I have involved playing hockey. He was a winner, and he taught you how to win. And I really enjoyed him. And then after that, I ended up going to still going to college at that time. As they mentioned in that video, I just about lost my scholarship because I wasn't in school. I was playing hockey up in Flin Flon against Clark and Reggie Clark and those guys, and I was in BC, and Ralph Romano kept calling me. He was from Thunder Bay also. And he kept calling me to say, "You coming back to school? You coming back to school?" I said, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." And then I ended up playing in the Memorial Cup, was fantastic. And then when I was playing in college, Ralph Romano from Thunder Bay again, he was involved with, he was one of the fellows that ran the place there. He was athletic director. And the reason that I went to University of Minnesota Duluth was because of Tinker Mithrush from here. And Tinker helped me in that part there and said, go to school first, get your degree, and then you can go on and play hockey. So that's the part that I got there to get to pro hockey. And then as for the coaching career, I ended up when I came back, again, Albert was around, so I was still playing hockey with the Twins there at that time. And Cookie was also involved, another great person. And I had a guy in the sky, happened to be my Uncle Joe. And he used to come to me in between periods outside the thing and tell me what the other team was doing or whatever. And he's a great mind in hockey, and I still like talking to him, and we BS about hockey and baseball. We both love those sports. So what I'm trying to say basically is that there's a lot of good people here in Thunder Bay and a lot of good coaches. And I know I talked to my brother about this, but one of the things that I don't really like, I guess, for the younger kids is that sometimes what coaches will do is they'll go and they'll play this checking line supposedly against another line. Well, when I played, I was one of the better players on the Canadians, and Bubba Merritt was the other player in Port Arthur. We played against each other, to see who's going to be the best at scoring goals and stopping goals. And I think we should get back with the younger kids with more of that stuff, where you play line for line according to their ability, so they can improve. And as long as you work hard, you play. And that's more of what I'd like to see. Because the guys around here that are still here that are doing a great job in the NHL and where they're playing, they're a great bunch of guys. So they had good coaches. They had good people. And that's what you want here. And like I said, the guys that are playing NHL or wherever they're playing, they're a good bunch of guys. They really are. You can see what they do for the community. And again, this thing here with David, I played baseball with him and I played hockey with him. And the people that are involved in this is fantastic, what you put on for us guys that played sports. Thank you. And women that play sports. Thank you very, very much. Forgot one thing. I never won anything till I got married, and I won those two cups playing hockey with my lovely wife, Paula. Thank you.
This athlete went from the fields of Fort Frances to the top of the Canadian football world.
Growing up in Fort Frances, this future university football star and Grey Cup winning CFL player demonstrated his athletic talents early on. After seeing the way in which he performed his agility run, Fort Frances High School football coach Jack Hedman knew he possessed something special and encouraged him to try out for the team. And from that point on, according to his mom, Jeff lived and breathed football, a sport his father Glenn had also excelled at. His small size and quick speed made the perfect combination for a running and defensive back. Possessing what his coach described as an outstanding attitude and fearless approach to the game, he was a force to be reckoned with. The Muskies enjoyed great success during his time, claiming the 1978 and 1979 Northwestern senior football titles. Upon graduation, he decided to use his talents to pursue a university education. With both his parents having roots in the Hamilton area, McMaster provided the perfect opportunity for family support while at the same time offering a solid football program. And as it turned out, Mac and Treff, as he became to be known, were a perfect fit. Sporting number 32 for the Maroon and Gray, Jeff became one of the Marauder star defensive backs and punt returners, leading the league in interceptions, punt returns, and kickoff returns. And named the Rookie of the Year, he garnered the team's 1981 MVP honors and was a three-time OUA All-Star and also named an All-Canadian. While Mac's opponents tried their best to shut him down by matching him against much larger players, it didn't seem to matter to the talented and determined star. One game against Waterloo, the 5'8", 175-pound cornerback was assigned a 6'4", 210-pound wide receiver. Not only did he allow him to catch only 4 passes, he also made 2 interceptions and set up 2 touchdowns, contributing to Mac's 29-0 victory. In 2001, when McMaster selected 24 players to make up their greatest ever football team, he made it on to the Team of the Century as a defensive back and also entered their Hall of Fame that same year. Selected in the 8th round by the Edmonton Eskimos in 1984, he headed west to try to earn a spot on the team's starting roster, and that was a big challenge for a first-round pick, let alone one from the 8th round. One of the last to be cut at training camp, he came back on a 21-day trial and proved that he belonged in the pro ranks, being described by Bud Riley, who was serving as the Eskies defensive coordinator, as an aggressive, hard-nosed kid. Following his 2 seasons with the Eskimos, he suited up for the Alouettes for the start of 1986. He led the CFL with 46 kickoff returns for 964 yards. His efforts saw him named to the 1986 CFL Eastern Conference Specialty All-Stars. Having established himself as a strong contributor to the Owls lineup, he was pretty disappointed to find himself without a team as the Owls folded just before the start of 1987. Picked up by Winnipeg in the dispersal draft, he played 9 games with the Bombers before moving back to Hamilton to join the Tiger Cats lineup, where he finished off 1987. In March of 1988, Jeff was picked up by the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the equalization draft and gave the club the experience they were looking for in their defensive backfield. It was during his 4 years with the club that the Riders began to make a move up the standings. Taking to the field for the full 1988 season, he helped the team reach the playoffs for the first time in 12 years. Although sidelined by injuries for most of 1989, the team went all the way, winning the Grey Cup for the first time since 1966 and cementing a spot for the kid from Fort Frances in Rider Nation and CFL history. After 2 more seasons with the Riders, Jeff decided to retire from the pro ranks in 1991. Settling into a life after football, he's the proud father of 4 and continues to serve as a longtime member of the Winnipeg Fire Department, remaining involved in the sport of football as a member of the CFL alumni and lifelong fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the Northwestern Ontario Sports Hall of Fame, Jeff Treftlin. Jeff and his 2 sons, Caden and Josh, have traveled from Winnipeg to be here tonight. His daughter, Carly, and her husband and Jeff's 4-month-old grandson, Nathan, have come from Toronto to be on hand for Jeff's special night and for him to meet his grandson for the first time. His mom, Luvia, had hoped to travel here from Minneapolis, but had to cancel at the last minute, but no doubt is here in spirit. There are also some very proud friends from Fort Frances here tonight to share this special time. To show you what a great football player Jeff was, some of his former coaches sent along their congratulations, and we have a few messages for you, Jeff. The first one, congratulations to you, Jeff, on your selection to the Northwestern Ontario Sports Hall of Fame, and thanks for helping our team win the 1989 Grey Cup as a key figure on our special teams. I also want to recognize Todd Hinds. Todd Hinds and my son, Todd Gregory, were teammates on the University of Manitoba National Championship wrestling team. Todd Hinds was a great wrestler and so much fun to watch. The best in sports to all of you that have come to this event. Have a good evening. And that's from John Gregory, the former coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The second message, Jeff's path led him all the way from the Fort Frances Muskies to the McMaster University Marauders in Hamilton in the summer of 1980. What a stroke of luck that was for McMaster. To be completely honest, at the time, Fort Frances was not on the map as a recruiting mecca for football talent. And a 5'8" defensive back didn't exactly draw the attention of many university scouts. The truth is, Jeff was attracted to McMaster as his mom and dad were both from Hamilton and his grandparents were in the area too. Jeff tells the story of his dad reaching out to the MAC coach, Ray Johnson, and they clicked right away. There he was at training camp, Jeff Treftlin, the unrecruited walk-on from 1,000 miles away. Jeff's first year was also my first year of coaching at McMaster, and I remember it well. It was a period of rebuilding for the MAC football team. Ray Johnson was the coach for Jeff's first year, and then Bernie Kustis came in as the new head coach. It was a new era for MAC, and Jeff was the perfect catalyst to instill a winning attitude. Jeff made an impact that was immediate and long-lasting. His pure talent and athletic ability were obvious from day one. He hustled, he made big plays, he was fearless. Jeff had one speed, and that was all out. He played the game with passion. But Jeff was more than just energy. It's often said that the great players make the people around them better. Well, Jeff did exactly that. His teammates respected his skill and love of football, and as a result, he raised their game. It was this leadership that turned McMaster from a perennial doormat to a nationally ranked team in the 4 years that he played. Jeff still holds McMaster team records over 30 years later, was named to the team of the century, and clearly proved that size does not matter as he enjoyed a dynamic CFL career. But I believe his legacy at MAC and throughout his life has been his character and his drive to be the best that he can be. Jeff got more out of his talent than most thought possible, except Jeff. As a friend and former coach, I say congratulations, Jeff, on your induction into the Northwestern Ontario Sports Hall of Fame. All of your former teammates and coaches are proud that your journey took you through McMaster University. You left your mark and a standard of excellence as an outstanding player and an even better person. And that's from Ross Tripp, the former football coach and director of athletics at McMaster University. And we have a third message, and it says, "Dear Jeff, I'm sending this letter to you for this evening for 2 reasons. The first is to tell you how proud I am of you, that pride has been carried with me since the day you donned a Muskie jersey. It is hard to believe that over 30 years have passed since that memorable day. The second reason is to share my personal regrets to you and your family and the Northwestern Ontario Sports Hall of Fame for not being here tonight to participate in this incredible tribute. As a former PE teacher, I will never forget the day that you blew me away with your performance in the ability run. The ability run. That was the moment that I suggested you come out for the football team. The rest is history. As a Mac graduate myself, I think I suggested that you consider that university because it offered the best of 2 options, a fine academic reputation and a great football program. Knowing your dad's background and love of football, I think helped cement your choice. I know you wore many colors during your CFL career, Jeff, but Saskatchewan seemed to me like the place to say farewell. It is far and away the home of the most dedicated fans in the CFL. I hope you are wearing your Grey Cup ring tonight. You shy away from the limelight, but please show it off tonight if indeed you decided to wear it. I know Luvia would want to be with you tonight, but from what I gather, she may not have been able to make the trip. I know she would be brimming with pride. If she cannot be there in person, she will be there in spirit, and so will Glenn. They both have a great deal to be proud of. Together, they raised a wonderful and closely knit family, and we are thankful that Devlin allowed us to share in that pride. Enjoy the road ahead, Jeff, and if it leads to the fort, I am 5 houses down from the Tim Hortons. Finally, I extend hearty congratulations to all inductees this evening. You now occupy a permanent place in the long history of sport in Northwestern Ontario. Kudos to the volunteers who made all this happen. And it says, warmest regards, former Fort Francis Muskies coach, Jack Hedman. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Treftlin.
Well, after all those nice words and all those fun pictures, all I can say is thank you. At my table, I have something I have to do before I do anything. My coach told me when I come up here to say, what was it again? Give him the ball and take the wind in the 4th. That's a coaching joke, so I don't know. I don't think it's that funny. Speaking of my table, quick little CFL update. Josh and Caden, my 2 boys, and of course Adam and Carly and Nathan, we were watching the Bombers game before we came down here. I came down a bit early and Josh and Caden came down later, and I think when they got down here it was 24-7 for Calgary. And I think that was in the 3rd quarter already. So Coach Fawcett, I have two Muskie coaches at my table, Coach Fawcett and Coach Monty, Dave Montgomery, Scott Fawcett. So Scott pulled out his phone and he was looking at the CFL and he said, holy Jesus, the Bombers are beating the Stampeders. It's 10 seconds left and they're winning 34-32, I think he said. And then he said, and Josh and Caden, my boys, are very big Bomber fans, and they were pretty excited. And so he finished saying it's 34-32 with 10 seconds left. Oh, Calgary just kicked the field goal. Don't worry, Josh and Caden, that guy made us run 40-40s at practice one time. 40-40s at the end of practice. That's torture. So he likes to torture mentally and physically. This is a very nice night. I'm very lucky to be here. I feel very fortunate to have been selected Thank you to Northwest Hall of Fame, Diane and everybody else that did so much work. All I had to do is answer a couple of emails, a couple of texts, a couple of phone calls, and then show up tonight to all of this, which is absolutely wonderful. What a great job everybody did, and what a lot of work you all put into the whole night. Thank you so much for everything. It also gives me a new fondness and appreciation of Thunder Bay, because up until now, whenever I thought of Thunder Bay, I always thought Hammersholt, Westgate, Churchill. We didn't beat them once when I was in high school. So now I can like Thunder Bay. So thank you to everybody that has anything to do with this night, and thank you all for being here, and congratulations to the other inductees. I have a lot of people to thank. I'll try to make it real fast because we're supposed to do it in 2 to 3 minutes. I'm basically very fortunate. I'm basically a product of a lot of wonderful people. First and foremost, my dad. And he was a football lover. So the genetics that he gave me were the love of football and to work hard and care about things. He didn't give me height genetics, which, I don't know, maybe I worked harder because I wasn't tall, but it all worked out anyways. But my dad loved football. Probably the other thing he did for me besides giving me the genetics for loving football was moving out to a farm in Devlin, which is just outside of Fort Francis, and having basically a hobby farm. And I don't know if he did this on purpose or he just wasn't a good fence builder, but I think my football skills were helped out by chasing horses because they got out of the fence, chasing chickens because they got out of the fence, chasing pigs because they got out of the fence, and lots of running and lots of exercise, throwing bales. Living on the farm was a good thing, but I'm pretty sure you might have cut some holes in those chicken fences. Outside of my dad, it's the whole football experience that I've had has provided me with so much happiness and such a rewarding life. And as I moved from Devlin, where we couldn't play football, we didn't play football till grade 9 in Fort Francis. And when I got to Fort Francis, I ended up being with the best guys, the best friends, the most excited football guys I could have possibly been with. If I'm accepting my induction, I accept my induction on behalf of all my teammates in Fort Francis. I had such a good bunch of friends, Howard Fawcett, Motorhead Mayor, Gord Kitzel, Dave Huntis, just so many good guys. We had guys that were a couple years older than us that were such good role models to us, that worked hard and loved football. To be coming up behind the guys a couple of years ahead of us that were so into it just made us more motivated, made us work harder. We became very dedicated, I think, at a young age. I think grade 10 we were going straight to the weight room every day after school, especially in the off season. But I had a really good bunch of guys, and the older guys, Pat Garcher, Frank Wepbrook, Big Dean Breer, Greg Allen, Sandy McFarlane, Buddy Hyatt, Kim Myers. And thank you, Buddy Hyatt and Kim Myers, for all the rides back and forth into the country. We had a great group of guys, and we had a great group of coaches. 2 of my coaches are here tonight, like I just said, Dave Montgomery and Scott Fawcett. We had so many more people that put in so much time. Jack Hedman, who wrote some kind words tonight, was a wonderful coach and did inspire me about McMaster. It's amazing how, although I always wanted to play football and I always knew that I was going to play football, even though people kept telling me that I was too small to play football. Sometimes it just takes a sentence here and there to motivate you a little bit. And I remember at one point near the end of my high school years, Jack Hedman said that he really thinks that I should, because I was talking to him about McMaster. He was a Mac grad, as is Diane Emery here somewhere. And Jack said that I think you should go to McMaster. I think you would help them. And at that point, I didn't know what was going to happen when I left high school. I didn't know how good I was. I didn't have anything really to compare it to. And when he told, being a Mac grad and saying that I should go there because I would help them, it really gave me a lot of confidence and picked me up as far as that jump from high school to university. Once I got to university, like I think Ross Tripp had said in his message today, Ray Johnson was the head coach my first year. He's not with us anymore, but he was an absolutely wonderful person. He is an ex-CFLer himself, Eskimos. Super nice guy, very, very good coach, very calm, easygoing guy. We had other wonderful coaches at McMaster that were great teachers, but fun to be a part of. Bob Kraus, Ross Tripp, of course, who was our athletic director and receivers coach, and very, very into football. Art Shaw, we moved on to the next year. Bernie Custis came, who's a CFL legend. Brought in some other coaches. John Williams was my defensive back coach. He had played in the CFL. Granny Liggins, one of the great D linemen from the old days, came there, and they ended up rebuilding the team. But I had so many wonderful teammates and wonderful coaches, and I'm basically just a product of being around really good people and really, really wonderful people that were not only teammates, but great friends, still are great friends. Coaches are great friends. And football's been just a really super part of my life. I also need to thank Ross Tripp for being instrumental in my jump to the CFL. He helped to promote me to the Edmonton Eskimos, to a person who is the personnel director, Frank Morris, who's no longer with us, but another wonderful person who took a chance on my height and hopefully saw a little bit of character.